Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Hey, consciousness. I always am happy, so happy in this moment, right? When it goes from the intro to me popping on screen and saying hello to everybody. It is May 2nd, and this is the live stream of consciousness. I'm Michael Zinn. This is a place where I get to connect to another individual who somehow came across my path, or somebody I know, or somebody I was introduced to, somebody that I want to talk to in front of you guys, because it's so much fun to do. And you guys your energy and the interaction and everything is great. I see Helen Wagner out there. I see Grace Grella out there watching on both platforms. Super excited. It's Helen's 60th birthday. Happy birthday, Helen. Awesome. That's wonderful. I didn't know you were older than me. I thought I was older than you. But anyway, only by a little bit. So are you ready to tap into the potential of something greater? I think that's something that Jesse says in the intro. Tonight, I am talking to somebody new to me through this amazing connectivity network that we are creating here. And I'm very excited because my guest is a card reader, but also a card creator. So there's tarot cards, but there's also angel cards and oracle cards, and cards are basically to me, and we'll have my guest say what they are to him. They're an energetic, a form of energy, putting a message through a card that has a message on it, a symbol. Sometimes they're mantras. Sometimes the tarot cards are just symbols and suits, like a deck of cards. And then you can get some great messages from that. And Helen is saying, yes, she's immature. I didn't mean it that way. I just meant you look younger than me. I feel like that. Anyway, back to my guest. Some of you guys may know him. Some of you may not. I'm excited to talk to Arnie Layton, who is local here on Long Island, I believe. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness, Arnie.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to meet you. Are you local here on Long Island? You are, right?
You're actually Queens, New York.
Okay, Queens, New York. Okay, because we know a lot of the same people. We kind of run in some of the circles that touch on each other, which is very cool. So welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I'm excited.
Thank you for having me.
I've been excited all week. I've been definitely, a lot of cool people have been kind of coming into my vortex. And through this show, now I have a platform to say, oh, that person's cool. I want to invite them over and have a chat with them and kind of hold space, which is something I love to do. So welcome. I gotta ask you, I've changed up the format of the show a little bit with some of the guests, but you haven't been here before, so I want to kind of go to the old format, which is asking you the basic question of, what is consciousness? What are we even talking about tonight?
Wow. Consciousness to me is everything around us. Everything is energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything holds memory. It could be a glass of water. It could be a card. It could be a person, a dog, an animal, a tree. We're all conscious.
Mm-hmm.
We're all connected also.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Perfect answer. I love it. It's such a great question because, we're all a part of that consciousness, right? And we're all different perspectives of that consciousness. So I a lot of times the answers all kind of connect, and it just grows each time I ask the question. And that's one of the things I love about that question. The other question I'm going to ask you is, because you are a card reader, So you do have a connection to this energy that you're talking about, that allows you to kind of do certain things. We call that gifted, I guess, right? I want to know if you have a story or a memory of the moment that you knew, not that you knew you were gifted, but you knew there was more to reality than kind of what is the normal, story that we get.
Wow, that's a pretty deep question. I would say going back to as a kid, I always I would see things in my room at night. I would remember dreams of like children in my room, children around me. I don't think they were children. I really don't. I think it was more of a presence. Um, I always felt connected. I would kind of know things before they would happen, what people would say when I was very small, but I was also afraid to speak about it. So I think I said something to my mother maybe once or twice, and she like blew it off. So like I put it on the back burner.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's kind of strange how the day where it kind of went back, I was going through a lot of trauma. I lost my father. I was being bullied, and I was running between two cars into the street, going full force, playing. Something stopped me. What it was, I do not know.
Wow.
It was just like hitting an invisible brick wall. At that point, the things I would see in like my dreams or at night in the room went away. And most of my life, I've always been an introvert kind of, and it was always difficult being around people, and I would always feel what was going on. So I never really knew I was empathic the whole time. And so this went on for years, and it came back. I would say we're reawakened actually was with the death of the person I was with for 14 years.
Okay.
It just totally reawakened me. I mean, I was always looking into like certain things with spirituality, but I never went full force. When she passed, it's something else. It's just like opened another door, and I went forward from there.
Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, and it's funny when I ask that question, I always want to say, hey, maybe there's not a moment, maybe it was just a feeling your whole life. And it kind of sounds like that's what it was. And then there was a moment that all kind of, you were like, oh, all of these feelings that I had all my life, now they make sense. Now I understand. Yeah. Wow. That's great. Yeah. And Grace Grell says a guardian angel saved you. It's interesting, that story that you just told. As you told the story, I don't remember in my life that ever happening, right? Like I can imagine this scenario playing, running out between cars. But when you told the story, I felt like I experienced it. Like I felt like I was running out in between two cars, and like something grabbed my shoulder and just held me from going, and it was like, nope, you got to look. And I was physically stopped. So like I experienced it just through you retelling it, which that's cool, man. I don't get that too often. And I guess that's a part of kind of when you start sensing your gifts, and then you start just doing your day-to-day, you start noticing different ways that you're experiencing those moments, right? I think that's what just happened with me. That was pretty cool. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that story. That's awesome. So all right, well, now comes the part in the show where I'm actually holding space for you, and we get to talk about you and what you do. So I'm imagining that experience, losing somebody who was very close to you, was kind of the beginning and led into you reading cards, or did you read or create the cards first? Or I guess you would read them first, right?
Actually, it's kind of strange how everything happens. I started going to meditations.
Okay.
Which is something I never did. And the first time I went, I was like, okay, this is crazy, like everybody else would be. And I had an experience. And the experience really opened me up, and I wanted to go back, and I wanted to delve in and see more and more. So I started meditating every day. And that's something I would recommend everybody that they have to do. Meditate every day. You got to do it. Because it'll open you up to so many things. And that's how these cards came to be for me, actually. was through meditations that I started to see symbols.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at first, I would come out of like a meditation and I couldn't remember them,
Mm-hmm.
or I would vaguely remember them. And so then I started getting a notebook.
Mm-hmm.
So as the meditations went on, all of a sudden I would start jotting down the symbols. And I didn't
While you
know.
were meditating, you would actually like.
No, once I would come out, I would
I gotcha. Okay.
immediately. I would, and now I always carry a journal with me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I would just start doing the symbols, just putting them down, putting them down. Didn't know what they were going to be, what was going to come of them, or what. And just through meditation, and you have to really trust in everything that you're receiving too. Everything comes from within us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to believe, and you have to have faith in it, and you have to have trust in it.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, all of a sudden I started to get messages for the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Still didn't know what I was going to do with them or what it was going to be.
Like meanings to like, oh, this symbolizes prosperity, or
no, just basically like this. Let's say
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the actual symbols on the light language codes,
Right?
which I still do not have an answer to that yet. I'm still waiting for that to come. But what it actually means to me, they mean certain things.
Okay.
To other people that read them, it could be something else too.
Mm-hmm.
But like each one came in a set, and actually the very last one, the fourth one that I have, came as a result of extra symbols as I was getting them that I felt were not part of that particular deck.
Okay.
Or like that, so I left them out. And so then it became to where I felt a color, where I felt like all these symbols had to be gold.
Okay.
And each deck was different. Like the first deck, I had a different cover for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on a retreat. And on the retreat, there was a tree that held so much energy. When I went up to it, I felt like it was vibrating through it. And
Wow.
I knew that tree was going to be the cover. And the cover was also going to be the person that passed away.
Mm.
So I incorporated that in. And that deck was meant for really healing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of different things that I created with that for healing for me. I also work with tuning forks.
Mm-hmm.
So with this deck, I have the symbols actually made into 8x10s. And whatever I feel needs to be used, I'll use, because the symbols are also vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And the tuning forks are vibration. So that's my way of working with that particular deck. Like I said, with any of these things, with Oracle cards, it's whatever the user feels when they hold them.
Right.
And what they get as the messages. But
right.
That's basically how the first deck came to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my second deck, Planetary Healing, was totally different. That deck I actually received in 44 nights of dream state.
Okay.
So I felt like I was floating above my body in the dream. And I was going over all the oceans, all the shorelines. I would see all different, I would see winter shorelines, I would see summer shorelines and all of that. Mm-hmm. And I would wake up, I would have a symbol or two or whatever, and I would just, jot it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also meditate in my backyard. And from there, with the symbols, I was getting the sayings. Like I said, with this, I also did not know what it was going to be for, but it just gradually starts to come into what it's going to be as more and more comes. You start to understand what it is.
Mm.
That deck is meant really for planetary healing, grid lines, and all of that for the planet.
So planetary healing, you're talking about the collective, or you're talking about the actual Gaia?
Actual Gaia, for the actual, there's all different ley lines at different points on the planet. So what I did is I actually took this deck and I went to the beach and I laid them out.
Okay.
And I did a meditation and I did a healing. I was just sending out energy to the planet to where all the different ley lines where things needed to be and where it needed to be healed.
So let me just interrupt for a second, because I've been hearing that term ley lines, and I kind of understand it, but I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm imagining it's. Can you explain it to me before I even?
Lines of latitude, longitude.
Okay.
Certain points, there's certain points of the planet will have certain energies.
Okay.
And in certain cases, they may need to be healed. Okay. There may have been a lot of bad things that were happening in these areas.
Interesting.
And as a collective, we need to actually send a lot of healing out to the planet.
Okay, and so how would I recognize these ley lines, or how would one know?
Um, just points. It's what, like, for me, it's whatever I feel.
It's
I
feeling,
feel
right?
like
Okay,
all the
okay,
coast points are different ley lines and longitude and latitude.
okay,
That's
okay,
where I envision the areas that need healing and putting them
okay,
out. And
okay.
that's
Sure,
what I
yeah,
actually did with that. Like I said, someone else picks this card deck up, they may feel something different.
right.
Maybe, just something totally, different from what I'm putting out there for these.
Sure, sure. Right,
But
right. Of
me,
course.
of all the things I've done, that was the one that was so different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it, it was like such a feeling when it was happening.
So I'm guessing it was a big like connection with the earth, right?
Yeah.
It was like,
It's like the earth needs healing. We need to heal the earth.
right, right. We do need to heal the earth, and I think we are, right, just by thinking about it, right, just by thinking that we need to do it. And
Well,
obviously because we're thinking about it, we behave a certain way, right? So like, all of the things that I think are thoughts, but they totally influence the way that I interact with everybody. So that's the way they manifest and become
yes,
become physical. Yeah.
that's the
So
live stream of consciousness right there.
there you go. It's
Collective thought,
exactly
and putting it to a good purpose and use.
That's exactly right.
There
Exactly
you go.
right. And it's like when I came up with that name, it was like I was just like it was just, you know how it is when you think of something, you're like, well, that's it. There's no other way that it could be, right? That's what it's got to be, um, which is cool. And I've actually been, I was talking about the term holding space, and this is kind of a secret project, but through this show, which I believe is kind of like my path. There's no coincidences, right? I'm doing this show to connect with people like you, to connect with people like all of the amazing, amazing people that I've connected to. So through that, a few of the people have asked me to do like specific live healings, right? Or like a live reading, right? Like you would do a live reading because that's your modality. Somebody who does Reiki might do a healing, right? An energetic healing. Somebody who does astrology might do, read someone's charts or something. But to do that live, I think I'm going to do that, create a new show called Holding Space. And each I'm going to invite a different healer or different modality on each show to do their gift, to share their gift, and I'll be holding space for that gift. I feel like that's
Awesome.
that's gonna. I just feel like that just raises my vibration, right? Because I'm sharing all of these amazing gifts, right, with the world, through somebody else, and just connecting to everybody. So anyway, I don't know what made me tangent onto that, um, but I'm fascinated, and I love everything that we're talking about here. I think it's really so important for people to connect with the idea of energy. And I was actually thinking earlier when I said that I changed the format of the show, what I really started doing with the show was picking a topic to talk about. And I thought energy would be a perfect topic to talk with you about, because not only of the card reading and the way that I see that's kind of an energetic uh, connection, and the connection to source, and connection to the collective and energy and all that. But also the tuning forks that you were talking about.
Mhm.
I've been really, really fascinated with the idea of sound, and how that works with the body, because there's no doubt, like when I kind of first started hanging out with the spiritual crowd, right, and doing my thing, going down to the Center for Holistic Healing in Smithtown, and walking into the building, and there was like, there was the different tones playing and the music, and that was such a part of the vibration that I started to, on YouTube, they have these channels that you could put on, and they're just, 8 hours, 10 hours of different frequencies to, 432 and 369 and all of these different frequencies, or
Mhm.
binaural beats. And it totally changed my being. You know what I mean? Just I was so calm, and just like it really changed my comfort level of just existing, so
Yeah.
I've been really fascinated with sound healing, the idea of sound healing, frequency and how it works, and also even cymatics and how cymatics may tie into this all. I've talked about it a couple of times on the show. An artist who's taking photographs of these cymatics that are just, they're talking to me when I look at them. They're just like, they're images of frequency,
Right.
which are just really amazing,
Everything is vibration.
yeah, I
Everything is
love it.
vibration.
So with
Energy.
that being said, let's shift the show to the new format, which is talking about a subject, and let's talk about energy, right? And by the way, anybody out there, please feel free to chime in anytime. I hear you guys. I see you guys always talking to each other out there, which I love. Everybody saying hello to everybody else. But it helps the show grow if you share the show, if you comment on YouTube. Not well, I guess that's what you guys are doing, but not comment. I mean, make a comment on the video, not chat in the chat room. But anyway, I don't like asking you guys to do anything. I'm just glad that you're here. But let's talk about energy. Let's start with a definition. How would you define energy?
Wow. Everything all around. Everything you could feel, you could touch.
Yeah.
Everything has vibration. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. No,
with the vibration. Just like if you put sand in a drum and you hit the drum, it's going to form a geometric space. Like a picture or a pattern. And depending on the size and the and whoever you're hitting it, it's going to create a different form each time.
Right.
And this is strange too, like water. I also, like, I work with sound, right? Also, so I also use the tuning forks on my water because that will also purify and clear the energy of the water.
So do you like wave it around a pitcher or your glass?
I will hit the C and the G together and I go around. I generally will put it in a gallon drum and I go up and down and around, and with my intent also being put into it, which is important. Everything is intent, because that's what actually healing is. You're holding space. So I do that with the water, and it changes the structure of it. And if you look online, you'll actually see videos with that.
Oh, cool.
Where, especially if like you're doing something in anger, let's say, right? That's an energy. So like that water, if you're touching it in anger, if they film it a certain way or with the frequency, it's going to have a distorted looking vibrational effect to it. And when you have a loving, it'll be like maybe a snow crystal or something like that. It may appear. It's just amazing. It really is.
No, I love the Dr. Emoto, right? I love those experiments. You just reminded me. I'm just going to put up the banner here. If you want to see some of the videos Arnie's talking about, his website's there at the bottom of the screen, ascendfromwithin.net. Also something that you talked about, which I think is important, and I think that's really that's the vibe I think that attracts your tribe, right? Specifically with this community, is just kind of understanding your own connection to energy, your own accountability for the way you feel, like like you said, in anger or in love, like the idea of intention is also very important.
Yes.
So I've said it on the show, and I'll say it again because it's a habit I got into. Somebody suggested it to me, and it's like one of those things that you just like make so much sense. You know that it's right. You don't know what it even means or why, but you just know, right? I very often, anytime I have my water, I say, I love you. I say, I'm so grateful for you. I talk to my water before I drink it. Then I'm just like, am I weird? Like I'm drinking it going, what a weirdo. Like, what are you talking
You're as crazy as me then.
What's that?
You're as crazy as me then. So
yeah, it's just like, what, maybe I'm weird, but it feels right. So I'm just being authentic to myself. You know what I mean? It's just like, and has it made a difference? I don't know. Maybe I do feel this. I wrote something down the other day. Hold on a second. Where is it? Over here. I write things while I'm doing the show or while I'm talking to different people. I said 57 years, and it had seemed that each was going faster. The last few observations I've made lead me to believe it's not going faster. It's just getting easier. And that's kind of what I feel like. I feel like as you start to understand your own connection with your own energy and your own intention and things like even getting angry, right? Like it's certainly okay to get angry, but like to understand like how long to be angry for, right? And how much energy to put into that anger. And then to be like, okay, I experienced the anger, I got it out, and now we're good, you know. It just makes life so much easier. And I feel like
Yeah,
that's why it doesn't feel like it's going faster. I think when I felt like life was going faster, I was scared. I was like, oh my God, it's going by so fast. But now I feel like I got this. You know what I mean? It's so much easier.
sure. And how many people actually go through life each day holding on to all that bitterness and everything? All that's doing is causing disease in the body.
Right.
You want to get sick? Do things like that. Hold on to all bad and negative thoughts.
Right. Totally.
You create your own reality. So
Totally. Totally. And I'm going to tell a little story here. I don't think anyone in my audience is like this, but I think everyone in my audience can probably relate to this idea, right? And that is, it's a story about energy, and it's the idea of somebody comes into work and somebody cut them off before they got there, and they're pissed. They come into the office and they're pissed, and the first thing they do when they see the first person is they start telling them the story, and you feel that anger, you feel that energy, right? Oh, this guy he cut me off, and you feel it, and you feel the interaction, and then they move on and they go to the next person, and they're like, oh, this guy, you know what I mean? And you're watching and you're just like, and it's funny because like as I've gotten older, I see that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, I'm so glad I'm me. Like I'm just so glad that I don't deal with things that way and like take up that footprint in the world, and that like, give out that energy into the world. It's
sure.
really so important, to be accountable for the energy. And I think that's what led, us together. I mean, just looking at you, you look like a younger version of me. You don't have as much salt and pepper, but you remind me of myself. And that's really funny because I was thinking about that before this show. I was thinking about talking, I always try to think of cool things to say, right? So that people are like interested in the show. But really, what I see when I do this show, and what I hope that you guys see, and what I hope you see, Arnie, is a reflection of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that guy's doing a show, right? Mike, oh, he has the show and he's doing the show, but I can see myself in his nature, right? So, like in your nature, even though we don't know each other that well, I can see myself, and it makes me feel really good, and I appreciate that. So, thank you for agreeing to come on the show, and all of that
Thank you
stuff.
for having
So all right, so let's go back to holding some space for you, and the idea of energy. You have these 3 decks that
me.
you've
Actually,
created.
4.
Four
I have a
decks now.
4. Yeah.
Okay, and you don't plan on stopping. You really enjoy creating these decks, and something's
Whatever
talking to you.
whatever comes, comes. I don't know.
There you go. No, I love that attitude, because it's like you're into it, and I love that idea too, because that's something that I can relate to, and be like, holy moly, when I was younger, I used to play in band, right? And I would go to my friend's house like 4 or 5 nights a week, and we would play, and I was just in the flow. I was channeling, and I didn't even know it. You know what I mean? It was just like that feeling when you're in that now moment, like
That's a
so.
meditative state right there.
What's that?
That's a meditative state right there.
It's
You're
so
you're in a zone, you're
phenomenal.
channeling.
It's so
Yeah.
phenomenal, and it's such a shame almost. I guess it's not. I guess it's the way it was supposed to be, right? But to be like, oh man, I didn't even know it while it was happening. Like I would have enjoyed it so much more if I knew that was what was happening. But it's not true. I enjoyed it as much as I was supposed to, and it made me who I am. It's a part of my memories and all of that stuff. And it's again, it's great as you get older to start to be aware of these things and then make those connections back to who you are and why, you know. And I think that's part of where you're at too, like as far as your decks, making your decks and doing your readings and unapologetically being Arnie Layton.
Yeah, I just hope to help people. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And some of the responses that I've gotten back from some of the cards when I do the shows, it's worth it. It is worth it. What you receive in someone being told that it helped them in a certain way,
Mhm.
that right there is like the ultimate for me.
That's awesome.
That is the best feeling. I love that.
That's awesome. Let's take a look at some of your cards. I don't know. It seems like you might have a deck there. That would be awesome if you do. Let me switch over. Do you have a favorite card or a specific, maybe a story?
Twice today, this card came out, which is Saint Germain, and this is what I'm working in right now. Actually, I'm working with somebody in a one-on-one class, and I have to say,
I can't even believe you're talking about this because I was just speaking to her today, right before I spoke to you. That's amazing. So Saint Germain, well, hold that up. I want to look at that. Hold that card up. So is that symbol? That's a symbol that came to you that is there, or
yes.
is that okay?
Yep.
And then you later translated that to be Saint Germain, or did you know at the time?
Actually, I felt it for this particular card, and then later would come the saying.
Okay.
That would come for it.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so all your decks are different, though. They're not all based on symbols.
Well, they all contain symbols.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Each one, they all have symbols, but like I said, each one, as it became more and more, and I knew what it was for. You know, that's all the different sayings came, and each has a different purpose for healing. Like the first deck, Love and Light is what I call it. It's heart healing to me. It's healing of the heart. The second deck is Planetary Healing. That's ley lines, the planet, all of Earth. The third, Angels and Saints, I felt to be like a soul healing, a healing of the soul. And the last deck, Nature's Elementals, is all things nature, healing of nature.
Interesting. Cool. I love that.
That came at the end, more or less. It all comes together. And you just have to pay attention to all the signs, all the little things that happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's funny too that you say it all comes together, because a lot of times I feel like that's how I felt as I was experiencing different philosophies and different modalities, you know, psychic intuitives and Akashic records reader. I felt like even though there were different exercises and different things involved, I felt like they were all the same thing, and basically that is an expression of a connection to source, right? And it was like however that was coming out, you know, however that was received and processed. Helen is out there saying negative energy spreads like the ectoplasm in Ghostbusters 2.
Yes.
Totally. That's
you want the pink slime. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and again, it's like it's almost funny. You can say that with a smile, because when you realize it, it's almost like this veil is lifted, right? Like I think without getting too dark, I think, you know, there are layers of society that as you grow up, you have these beliefs that are limiting, right? And don't allow you to see these things, and really oppressive, right? Things that can be oppressive, and things that are tied to self-worth, right? And loving yourself and knowing how important that is, and things that if we were taught in school, you know, the reality of how powerful those things are, I think the world would be a different place. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole different show.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to stay away from that stuff. It's funny, more and more I'm seeing how spirituality is kind of connected to the idea of, I just came up with, I'm so it's so important to me, the words that I say out loud and the thoughts that I have. And I feel like so the idea of spirituality being connected to the idea of being separated from your spirituality. That's a good way to say it. So, I'm not using any of those buzzwords, right? But the idea of being separated from your spirituality, I think those are the things that I'm talking about, that society kind of, leads you to believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got to fix that. And we are.
Yes.
You and me are both fixing that just by being here, and everybody here in the audience is rooting us on, and I think a part of that movement.
Raise the vibration.
Yeah, it's really important. It's really important. So I want to talk about energy. What else can we talk about energy? So tell me about how that works when you're doing a reading. So you obviously, we talked a little bit about how the cards come to you, but now you're reading the cards. So how does that?
Well, like right before the show, I actually did that, and I laid out the cards and I flipped one at a time, left to right. I looked at the cards and what I felt from each one, and it actually went into a flow. It's amazing how that works, too. To like actually have
So let me ask you about that, because I saw that reading. I'm looking for it right now so I can bring it up and show it to everybody. Because I felt very connected to that reading, for sure. And I was wondering, like, oh my God, was that reading for me, or was that reading for you, or was that just for, I guess, a general vibe?
it was meant pretty much for the collective.
Yeah, it was great. Hold on, let me see. I'm going to put it up here. Here we go. So here's the reading itself, and I'm just going to read this for you guys. It says, I felt the urge, to pull a card from each deck from left to right for tonight's live stream of Consciousness Show with host Michael Zinn. This is the message I get from the 4 cards pulled. Stay in a state of tranquility. This is your path for all answers within. And I know for me, that hits me in a couple of ways, which is one, kind of always been being told, my whole life, like, oh, you have this calming presence, like, just kind of, I just like to be around because you have this calming presence. I didn't know what that meant, but that's great. So that's how I felt connected to that. You truly hold all the power, as we are all energy and are the creators of our reality. That message has been so clear to me, and though I totally know it just by hearing it and by saying it, I feel it, I believe it. It's still tough here in the 3D to give in 100% to that and create the reality that oh my God, I want to be on a beach and I want this to be, but it happens. I've watched it over and over, and it's just, you've got to not be like, oh man, I've been saying this but it's not happening. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. And the next one says, did you want to talk about that, or?
That summed it up perfectly.
No, this is a perfect reading. And Angeline Joy is out there. What's up, Angeline? Good to see you out there. So the next one says, you truly nope, we read that one already. Hold on, I gotta click see more. You can change and transmute all negativity around you, being an alchemist of this realm. Well, again, I feel like that's a part of what we're talking about, just our presence, the idea of who we are and how we talk to people and how we treat people and the space that we hold for other people. That's really important. And right there transmutes negative energy. I've seen so many people who, coworkers who, I've worked with for a while, who then leave and say, you had an effect on me. And it's just so heartwarming to feel like I didn't do it on purpose, I mean, it's just really cool. And I see Carla out there also. What's up, Carla? We were just kind of talking about you. We didn't say your name, but we invoked you.
Yes.
For sure. Arnie was holding up one of his cards that he pulled today, which was Saint Germain. And as he was saying it, and I was thinking of you, he said, I'm working with somebody in a one-on-one class. And I'm like, I happen to know that. I just got told that. So let me continue with this reading. And the last one is, be strong in your truth, as you are on the correct path and direction. What a freaking amazing home run reading that is. I mean, that is seriously good shit. Good shit. No, I was really, really happy. And what I think is kind of cool here, I don't know if I can see this without the oh, what is that? Oh, that's you holding up the card. Oh, that's no, I want to hold on a second. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to bring up the cards. So let's talk about energy, right? And let's talk about how these symbols came to you. What can you talk about that? Can you tell us?
Basically, like I said, in meditation, and they all came all different ways. The first one was, you know, basically it started with the meditations that I was going to, and then I would get them in my yard, and everything seemed to come a lot at once.
Mm-hmm.
With these, I would get them in bunches, the symbols,
Mm-hmm.
and then, over time, I was like just sitting in the yard, and I had the book, and my yard also. There's got to be portals back there because the energy out there. I connect very well out there. I get a lot of messages out there, and a lot of the sayings that came when I was in the yard. And
That's
these are
very
what
cool.
for each deck. And yeah, each one of these symbols is an energetic form, and it's going to resonate with each person differently.
Right.
So
So
you might hold it up to you and see how it feels. Also,
Mhm. I love that. That's kind of what you suggest with the people when here you hold this card, you
Yeah.
feel how it feels to you. That's great. I haven't heard anybody who does that. That's kind of unique. So would I be wrong in saying that? I'm just kind of interpreting on the fly here that these symbols are light language, a kind of a light
Yeah.
language, right?
Yeah. Form
Yeah.
of light language.
Yeah. I love that. I'm so fascinated by that because I feel like there are I've seen a lot of people talking about light language, right? But I feel like when it's authentic, like I feel it, right? And I can look at it and I could be okay, yeah, like I was just saying, like I'm going out of my way to say is that light language because I knew it, right? I knew that that's what it was, and it comes in different forms, right? Some people speak like language,
Yep.
or hum light language, right? Even and some people draw it in symbols. I think it comes in even other forms that I can't even think of offhand, but like light language is just a transmission of energy, right?
Yep.
Whether it be visual or oral, or maybe some people do light language with different breath, like different I mean that's a form of energy. So
Yeah. Everything's sound, vibration, energy. So.
totally.
Mm.
Wow.
Yep.
Very cool. Awesome. Oh, well, you're so much fun to talk to. So all right, so energetically give us some more energy stuff about that's connected to what you do. So you also do tuning forks, so let's talk about the energy that's connected to sound and what you do with it.
Mm-hmm. That
So
actually helped me.
what's that helped you? I just saw Helen comment that before we were talking about negativity, she said I haven't been here, she didn't want to spread her negative energy. You are always welcome here, Helen, even if you're in a bad mood or not feeling it. You're always welcome here. You had an energy virus. Well, I'm glad you're back. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That's right. What were we talking about?
I was asking you about the tuning forks and the connection to energy there, and you said you did it because it was healing you.
Yes.
I just recently gifted Janice, my partner, with a nice set of crystal bowls, and she's starting to learn about energy healing. And I know for me, the first time that somebody played a crystal bowl in my presence blew my mind, because I felt like the sound came from inside of me. And I had never experienced, I mean, I had experienced like bass drums at concerts and things where it's, you feel it in your body, but that was just beyond for me. That was just like something crazy to experience. So I think, I became fascinated with it again. And so tell me what that is exactly, and maybe you can help me understand, and maybe we can even talk after, and you can
Also,
give me some
another part of
lessons.
my So another part of my awakening was that because before the person I was with passed away, I was also disabled. I couldn't even walk a block. I would walk with a cane. I weighed
Wow.
100 pounds more. So doctors couldn't do anything. It was just surgery, which I did not want to do. I would not do it.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I was looking into any form, like a modality to help.
mhm.
So I found a device, PCM6, DNAS, and it's sound vibration, frequency. And I just started using it. And even today, I still have the pain.
Mhm,
It's manageable. I can work. I can get around it.
mhm,
It
mhm.
got me to the point where I was able to start moving a little bit, and I could start losing weight.
Wow.
And using it more and more, I actually started to be able to move better. And when
Wow.
she passed away, it's like everything just kicked in. I was like, I got to do this. This is. I just felt like I had to get out there, and
Mhm, mhm.
I felt like I was here to do something, and I still don't know what it
Right.
is. But
Well, you had a choice to go down or up, right?
I would not do that.
Right. Right.
So
So
it's
I'm curious about this device. This device, it was like a tuning fork kind of device, or
no,
like
it was actually almost like a tens unit.
a what?
It was almost like a tens unit. Like if you
Oh,
go to
okay.
like a
Okay.
chiropractor, it was something like that.
Okay.
And it got it to the point where I could actually move. It was actually
Wow.
relieving that constant pain. So over time, and then losing weight, and that it helps.
That's
And so
great.
it's just
That's
that.
amazing.
And now I just use the tuning forks every day.
Wow.
I use that. And
Wow.
I also have one in case like my sciatica kicks in. I use like this one here. This
Wow. Look at
particular
that.
one is meant for that, and it does help. It does help a lot.
And so when you say you use it, can you describe like the process of that? Like, what do you do exactly?
Hit the fork basically, and I'll put it on an area. I'll put it on my spine. This one's kind of hard to do, but I'll put it on my back after hitting it,
Uh-huh.
and just let the vibration go right on the spine.
Actually,
Or
like lay it like you're touching it on the spine. It's not like just like near it, but it's
just
actually
just basically the base.
okay.
The base. Hit the fork up here, like you use a hockey puck. Basically, is what you use for these things.
Okay.
And just let it resonate. I would do it maybe 2 or 3 times,
Okay.
and then I would shift it because I generally have a lot of nerve pain down my leg, and then I would bring it right to the nerve. I would put it right on the nerve.
Wow. And I'm imagining you feel the vibration.
Yeah, you do, and it
Mhm.
actually does help. It really does.
Wow. I I
But
I I totally believe you. I mean, absolutely.
I'm proof. I'm here. I'm moving.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
It,
said
it
you said
works.
you when you told me you couldn't walk, like again, I didn't know you really back then, so I never saw you walking with a cane. But it's like you seem like you know, like you could get around and like like you're doing all right. Like you said, you manage. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, it's these are really amazing. They really are. Anything with
that's
sound vibration,
that's
and
awesome.
also I use the iteric hair
What's that?
as like a wand, and it also has a laser, and that also helps. It's very good.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I've definitely become interested in kind of the idea of using sound and light
Hmm.
as healing tools.
Yep.
I've been working with this woman Wendy who channels Metatron, and we've been talking a bit about it. And I've been encouraged to do some experimentation about using my projector. So I do as an artist. I use my projector and I project patterns onto models and take photographs and things like that. But to use that in conjunction with sound and projecting cymatic images,
Right.
onto the body in different places to as a healing tool, as a
Yeah.
useful new healing modality. All these things are kind of coming out. And I do remember, I don't know if you know Hardy Patel.
Yes.
Yeah, but he
Yes.
he showed me a couple things. There was a couple of different modalities of light healing where you kind of lay under a pyramid and certain patterns of flashing light and things like that were used to heal, which again is like it's all frequency, right? So
Yeah.
those things are passing through your body and interacting with your atomic structure, in some way. And again, the cymatics, especially with the sound, I mean, that to me is like, it's like undeniable to look at that and be like, wait a second, just listening to sound should be affecting me in this way on that level of particles, right? Because that's what the sand is on a plate. It's just particles. So I'm fascinated by that stuff. What else, as far as like sound, do you do anything with the bowls or anything like
I
that?
haven't used bowls, but also what I do is all my music. I changed all the frequency to my music. Okay, everything basically recorded today is at 440 hertz, and it's not good for the structure of the body. Okay, there was studies done years ago too, where they would put plants in a room and they would play the music at 440 hertz, and the plants would die. So I converted everything to 432 hertz. And
Wow, really?
I did it years ago. I set up a program, Audacity, and I researched online. There was all different files to upload into it, and I still have it set on my computer. So any music I get now, I just pop it in and I convert it.
Wow, really?
A whole sequence to use to take the actual file at 440 hertz and convert it to 432.
And you can play them kind of back to back and hear the difference. You can tell the difference.
You really can't hear the difference, but you can feel the difference. And like me, I always, it's terrible. I can never like grow things, and I can never grow a plant in the house. Since I did that, I have plants that grow in the house.
That's awesome.
Because they're being affected by the frequency and the sound.
Wow.
And just as before we were talking, like you put the sand in a bowl, it's going to generate a certain geometric form, or in the water. Like you said also, like you put a loving intent into it, it's going to change the frequency and the vibration of the water. Well,
that's really interesting, and it's also interesting that you brought that up, because I feel like that's heading in this the territory of these malevolent forces doing things on purpose, right? But I feel like that's something. I mean, I feel like that's pretty significant, and I think that there is certainly historical records that talk about it, right, and show that it was done not necessarily for the specific purpose of being destructive, but that whole shift of music from 432 to 440 is well documented. People talk about it, and I gotta say, it's interesting too, because that moment that I talked about where I started listening to that kind of music, right? I was a musician growing up, and I play bass, or I am a musician, right? You're always right. I play bass, but I used to love, and I guess I still do, but like heavy music was my music of choice. I listened to really heavy, aggressive music, Slipknot, and like these bands that were just like screaming, and the energy was palpable, right? But I didn't understand energy, I don't think, at that point. And I just was like absorbing the energy, and I was just excited about the energy and loving the energy. And then as I got older and I did start to understand energy, I was actually playing in a band that was doing material like that, and I was like, I can't do this. This is not me. This is not the energy I want to give out, to the world. And I don't really I mean, I still couldn't put it on and enjoy some music like that, but it's not my normal diet, right? My normal diet is the frequency and the binaurals and listening to that stuff, because it's just so much more, like you said, the way you feel. It's almost more intentional. I've intentionally started listening to it so intentionally. I feel it. I'd love to know more about that, converting all my music to 432, because that's interesting.
Research it on YouTube.
Yeah,
if it's still available. Like I said, I did it maybe 6 years ago, I believe. And there was a sequence.
Wow.
Of,
yeah, and there's what, you're right, on YouTube you could probably do it online, right? You could probably like submit the MP3 and they'll do it. Helen says sometimes heavy music is cathartic for people. Absolutely, 1,000,000%. I'm going to agree with that, but I'd be interested in taking some of that heavy music and converting it to 432 and listening to it and being like, oh man, I still love this, but I don't feel like as pumped up as I used to. There is
a difference. There is a difference.
That's pretty cool. I think I'm going to do an experiment like that. And Ninja Kitty saying thanks, Helen, because I think she was thinking the same thing. Because it's interesting, because my audience and even a lot of people I know who are in the spiritual community, either love heavy music or at one point loved heavy music. There's always that connection to it. I think it's a creator thing, right? In general, it's just like creating energy, right?
Yeah.
That's what that music is doing. It's really capitalizing on that idea of energy. So, all right. So let's talk about energy still. Let's keep it on track. Let me take a quick look here. So you're a certified tuning fork practitioner healer, the iTerra care you were just talking about. And well, let's talk about ascend from within. I mean, I know that's not necessarily energy, but that's more of a philosophy, right? And I personally, again, I love that philosophy. I love telling people, especially people who can't wrap their heads around it, that all the answers are inside. Everything you need, you have. And sometimes you get people are just like, huh, what? That's so not true. And you're just like,
it is.
You just wait. You come back to me in 10 years and tell me where you found the answer.
Yeah, with it, you just have to center, ground. Like I said, meditate every day. You go into a meditative state. It's a calming state. You're just making yourself an open channel, and you'll get little bits here and there, and then you'll also get these synchronicities, the subtle little messages that come each day. If you just document or you really pay attention, everyone's receiving these, and everyone can do this. Every single person could do this. I'm no different from anybody else. I'm no better than anybody else. Everyone just needs to center within, go within, meditate, and you'd be surprised.
Yeah. I think that, you said it earlier in the show, like you think everybody should meditate, and I agree 1,000,000%. And it's amazing to me. I mean, obviously, being in the circles I'm in, a lot of people do meditate, but I'm always amazed when people are like, oh, I can't, I never even tried. Like, it's just like, really, like, it's so simple and it's so powerful. Tim Lorenz says, absolutely true. When I get migraines, I listen to the heaviest music I have to help make them bearable. It's like, oh man, the migraine at least feels better than that, right? I don't know what that means, but that's funny, Tim. So okay, so we were talking about ascending from within, right? And that all the answers are within. I know. Again, I agree with you, and I know that's how do you explain that to people when people don't understand? How do you explain that to people?
It's even funny how that came to be, because before I even understood it, I felt that. And that's one thing I know to trust now all the time, is always follow my intuition. Whatever comes to you, trust it and follow it. Because I had that name come before anything, before I made my first video, before I did, before I even created the website. I believe I had the idea for that. And then as I go into the meditations and all that, the person running the meditations is always saying that. Everything is within, and I'm like, well, this is amazing. Here's another coincidence, which there are none actually, but that's where that name came from. It's because everything is from within, and you just need to go into like a meditative state. And meditation can be anything. You don't have to sit in, a yoga position or anything like that and om at the sky. It's being a channel. It's letting things come to you, let things come in. You can do that. Like I'll meditate in the yard. I'll be listening to the birds and I'll meditate. I'll just let everything in. Or I'll grab my iPod and I will go to the park and I will listen to the same type of music, like heavy music. But it's coming, the sound is coming in, but it's putting me in a state where I'll be able to receive. Taking a shower. Once again, the water just hitting you, just feel it. And go into a state where you let everything in. It's that simple. Anybody could do it. That's simple. And as you do this, you're going to start getting things. And that's why I say always, I have my notebook right here to the right of me. Anything that comes, I'll jot it down. It may not make sense at that moment, but it may in time what pieces will come together.
I love that. I love
All
that.
the answers, yeah, they're within you.
I love
Just have
that.
faith in yourself, receive what you believe, and just have faith.
Trust. Yeah, you got to trust. Grace Grilla says happiness is an inside job. Helen Wagner says, my mind doesn't quiet enough to really meditate until I pass out asleep. At best, I can hum in my head, but I've been trying for years and keep trying. You know what? I'm going to just suggest you keep trying, and don't get frustrated if you feel like you haven't done it right. There's no wrong way to
That's right.
meditate. That's I think the key for me. And just out of curiosity, Arnie, who's your favorite guided meditators? Who's your favorite?
Actually, Sandy Guarnado.
Oh,
Sandy
okay.
Guarnado.
I know the name. I haven't worked, but
She is the best. Her and Carla
Carla,
Gita
that's nice. Carla
are
Gita.
best. And once again, I could say, following my intuition led me to the right people.
Mhm, mhm,
Trusting.
mhm. Yeah, and you know what? I would also say, I think here's a good point too. Like, don't get frustrated if a certain guide doesn't resonate with you. Okay, I've gone to a few different sessions for like past life regressions or things like that I didn't feel like really they worked right, and it was just a matter of I wasn't resonating with that guide. But I think more important than not resonating with the guide is when you find the guide that you resonate with, it. You're like, oh, I had it. Like you said, when you did that first meditation, you had an experience, right?
Yes.
And that's something that just all of a sudden, you're just like, what just happened? Something just happened. I just had an experience, and it was quite different, than the experiences that I'm used to. And that moment is just such a great moment. So Helen, I would suggest maybe looking for different people and working with different people until you find the right person. And I think the thing about that is, and you're even saying it is, you don't need a guide. But I do feel like sometimes it's through a guide that you learn that you don't need a guide, right? You get to that point, you meditate, you're able to have that experience, and then you're like, oh man, then you're able to connect with the experience and get to it in different ways, through
Well,
different guides.
even she was saying, I believe she was saying humming. She will hum.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, Helen. Yep,
That's,
yep.
that's that's a form right there. And as you're doing that, you're blocking all the noise, all the
That's right.
nonsense out, and you're
That's
creating a
right.
channel there, so you can meditate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Focus on the humming. Focus on do this, Carla, Helen. Do this, Helen. Focus on the humming, and at the same time, focus on your breathing. Like how that breathing is interacting with the humming, and notice that the breathing isn't something you're even doing consciously. Like the breathing is just actually happening, and you're focusing on it, going, wait a second, I'm not doing this is just happening. Those are the kinds of things that when you're meditating, all of a sudden they illuminate, right? And you're like, oh, I'm breathing. Oh, wait a second, I feel the wind on my skin. Wait a second, I hear the cars outside. You start to really, that's what being mindful is. You start to notice everything, like the train that just honked outside. I just heard the train honk, and it's amazing. And so anyway, and Helen says, oh, Carla bought a purple resin bowl from me. I think I remember seeing that online. Helen makes some amazing resin art, all sorts of different things, jewelry and forms, different forms. I have a few. Oh, I don't have it here locally. I have it at work. I brought it to work. I have this beautiful red heart she made. And Helen says, yes, she will try to meditate. Thank you, Michael and Arnie. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for always having faith in what we see. And Grace says, and I've told Helen this, I think Helen meditates when she creates her jewelry. She knows that.
Yeah,
She knows she knows that that's her favorite. She's saying maybe Grace, but she knows. Helen likes to be difficult. But that's okay because we still love Helen. Oh my God, Arnie, I'm having so much fun with you. I didn't even notice that it's already past 10 o'clock. That's amazing. Did you have fun? I hope you had fun.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, you're great to talk to. I'm happy to call you a new friend. And I hope to interact with you some more online and in person. And get to work with you. And Carla is saying, yes, I love it, Helen Wagner. Thank you. I love this community. I love all the people that know each other and support each other. And that's, like you were saying earlier, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's what these shows are all about. For me, I never ever expected to be in front of the camera. I'm boring my audience because I say this all the time. This was something that just happened, and I just enjoyed the conversation so much. And people started saying, "Oh my God, that conversation you had," and I'm like, "Wow, I didn't even know you were listening," and it affected them, and it's so great. And I was going to tell this little story. Let me just tell a quick story, and maybe you'll relate to this. Grace is saying, "Thank you, Arnie and Michael." I used to be, I wouldn't call it antisocial, right? But I wasn't social for sure. Like I didn't love to go out to the clubs and all of that stuff. And I kind of I didn't have the best faith in humanity, right? So I would literally say, literally my philosophy was this: 95% of the people I meet are morons. And this is not how I think anymore. So I'm saying these words out loud, knowing where they're coming from, right? I don't think this anymore, but this is what I thought. 95% of the people I met were morons. They had no clue of what it meant to be a human being on a planet of other human beings. They were just running through the woods and knocking shit over, and they didn't give a shit and this and that. And it was kind of when I realized that that's what I was getting, because that's what I was believing. And because I believed that was affecting the kind of people that were coming into my circle. And once I started seeing things differently and looking for the good in people and believing that that was the purpose, right? That I'm gonna find the good in this person. That's what I was finding. And everything changed. And so the idea of even your thoughts and perceptions affecting your whole experience, right? It's like people say you can manifest your own reality with your thoughts and your feelings, or your thoughts and your words, right? And they don't understand, like, that doesn't mean like, okay, I want to be on the beach right now, in Hawaii, and I'm going to appear there. You know what I mean? It's much deeper than that. Yeah, so
It's what you set up today. An example of that would be like manifestation. Start it today, because then tomorrow is another day, and the day after that is another day. As you're doing that, and your future becomes your past becomes your present.
mhm,
It all becomes one, and it'll happen.
mhm, mhm.
Create your own reality.
Exactly. It's what you think and what you say and what you believe
Mhm.
are what you're going to experience. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I've been trying to tell Helen this, and she knows it and she believes it, and she fights with this all the time, and we all do. Wow, Michael, I've thought that since I've crossed paths with you the first time. Thank you, Helen. You know how much I love you. Helen knows. Again, I have a bunch of Helen stuff in my house, different Helen products, because they're all so beautiful. She's working on a beautiful. By the way, let me see if I can bring this up while I still got everybody's attention before I say goodnight. I want to just go to Helen's. Helen is working on this amazing thing, and I love. And she even made it her little profile picture there. I love these kinds of things. Here we go. Let me share this. This is resin, and this is just made to look like a beach, and I just love these kinds of arts. This is actually, while she's making it, I don't know if she's got it done yet. This is the underside of the mold, I believe. Oh no, I'm switching around to different pictures. I thought you might have another one of this here. Oh, here's where I thought I saw she was making it. So that's you can see that it's in the mold, and then this is the underside of it. But just those colors and just the patterns and the energy, right? The energy in this image that we're seeing, and this is a three-dimensional thing. It's beautiful. Oh, she's saying this is the top and it's not done, but it's just even though I don't really know what the finished thing is going to look like, Helen, it's just beautiful. It's like your intentions that you're putting into this are showing, right? They're coming through. I know you always question that, and Carla's saying beautiful, the queen necklace set. Awesome. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. And Arnie, thank you so much for
Thank you.
your time and your stories. We'll have to have you back. And again, I hope to see you in public soon. In what do they call it? IRL, right? In real life, IRL. So thank you. I'm going to put you in the back room. Don't go away. I just want to take my deep breath and say goodbye to the audience.
Sure.
But I'll see you soon. Thanks for being here. And we'll
Thank
see
you for having me.
All right, guys. Another amazing adventure, right? I just love this. That's what it is. It's like an amazing adventure all the time. Let's process the energy, right? Let's take a deep breath and let it out. Man, I know they say to do 3 of those. Take it in, let it out. I feel it on the first one. I don't know about you, but one more. Take it in and let it out. It's bedtime, folks. That feels good. Oh man, it's so amazing when you know the power of connecting to your breath. How powerful it is. And Helen, of course, Helen is saying deep breathing makes me cough. All right, Helen, we're going to figure out what works for you. We're going to figure it out. Maybe don't breathe so deep. Maybe shallow breathing. Do shallow breathing. And connect to that. That it also works. You're connecting to your breath. You're focusing on it. Don't even do it so deep, because if you're taking it in deep and it's making you cough, don't do it. It doesn't feel good. It feels good when you do it. Thank you, Helen, and good night to you. Great episode, Tim. Thank you for always being there. I don't think that I've actually got somebody next week coming. I do have a medium. I have a medium, Jennifer Rose, coming on the 16th, but I don't have somebody next week. I've been kind of trying to figure out what to do with this show. Like I said, I've had some of the healers and different people say, hey, they want to come back and do a live version that's not just an interview, that's actually them doing their gift, sharing their gift, a reading or card reading, or an astrological reading, or whatever it might be. So I guarantee if you're here, we'll have a good time. Again, I just reminded myself of the funny joke that I made, and I always forget to use that. This is the only podcast that I know of, I haven't seen another one, that offers a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, reach out to me. I will give you 100% of your money back. And I hope you found that funny, because I did when I thought of it. I don't know if it's funny. I will see you guys next week. I love you guys so freaking much. Let me find my outro today. What am I going to do? I'm going to play this one.